Hello from the Yarn Closet in St. David, Arizona. I have some moments to myself. This might be too bright. Hopefully it's okay. Dude, it's too bright for me, but I'm legally blind. It doesn't take much to be too bright for me. I have ocular albinism. That is one of my many issues, which means that my retinas have no pigment and kind of like my skin. Yeah, my skin, I burn. I literally do not tan, not ever in my life, ever. There is no tanning. It's burning and back to this. Slightly pink overtones, yes. Anyway, so I probably am fine. It's just everything's blown out, whatever. People, it's the Yarn Closet. I'm back. I'm slightly cheerful because I have, like I said, the dad took the kids to disc golf with one of the other dads who brings kids, and so I have a few moments, and I decided to spend it with you guys because I just need some friend time. So today we are going to talk about slipper socks. We're going to talk about like mattress stitch-esque. I might show you my kitchen cabinets that I painted another chunk of. I have one more chunk of cabinets to paint. And then it's just some of the paneling wall in the kitchen that I'll eventually paint. I'm nervous though because I painted the little bathroom white and I thought it was good quality paint. It was a mix of a couple paints, but there was, I think, enough Behr in there, paint and primer, that I thought we'd be good. It just seems dingy to me now. Good God, it could be my vision. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it's dingy. So I'm afraid to paint. The one thing I like about the paneling is that I can't see the fingerprints. I mean, I'm constantly, this one little chunk over here that's painted, I'm constantly wiping up fingerprints there. And eventually I have to repaint my ceilings anyway. So like I'm saving up my painting energy for that. So yes, there'll be some shenanigans about the things. And I finished a project. I'll put a picture in at the end because I already mailed it off. A young guy I got to know who is a Mormon missionary, because we live in a Mormon community, that also has a Catholic monastery in it. So, stop freaking out. Mormons are lovely people and they are Christians. And I don't want to fight about it. And if I just lost 300 subscribers, fine. I don't care. We have family that's Mormon. I'm not going to judge all the extra things that they believe in because God gets to do that. And I do know that they are very nice, generally speaking. There's a bad apple in every group. We happen to live by one. So that's the deal. I made his mom these fingerless gloves, and they're really cute, and they were with sparkly yarn he picked out. I don't think he realized it had sparkle in it. But they're longer. They don't have anything but a hole for the thumb. So I sent those off to her. And I'll put in a picture at the end. I will also put in a little picture of Chip playing, because everybody likes the dog stuff, and everybody has been so supportive of what we just went through with Magnus. And knock on wood with Sadie, that we keep the worst of the worst at bay with this Asher House CBD. The Asher House does CBD for pets. It's CBD oil, but they mix it with MCT oil, and I really do think that makes a difference, because I've tried some other CBD oils for the dogs over the years that haven't been as effective. And here's the deal. I have tasted the stuff, and it doesn't taste bad, especially if you get the lower concentration. And And I think that makes a huge difference. I don't know because they don't talk. But she seems better when she has it. She still has a few of the weird and very, very mild seizures. But this morning, she was acting very blind and very aggressive. There was a kid walking right along our fence line, knocking their stick against our fence, even though she ran up to the fence and was like barking bloody murder. I don't know. I would have backed off a little ways. They did not. So I went out and got her, and I had to physically get her by the collar and walk her back in. She would not come. Makes me nervous. For those of you who don't know, we just put to sleep our 9-year-old pit bull mix. He got aseptic anemia, an extremely bad case, and there really wasn't much of anything to do. It came on very suddenly, which apparently is something that happens in puppies that you adopt. They say they're all fully vaccinated. They're not. You go in on the regular vaccine routine, but they're still under-vaccinated because they didn't get that first set. Then they get parvo, which he did, but he got through it. And then later in life, they can get this aseptic anemia just like bam. And I mean, it's just sad. Looking back, maybe we didn't quite notice quite as soon, but I was actually checking his gums that last week because I had a feeling. But that's just my little 2-bit warning in case you've had a dog like that. I'm not a vet. Don't listen to me. Sadie is my black standard poodle who was my guide dog. She's retired. She's going blind. One vet thinks she's actually pretty much light and dark and that's it, because she had like a stroke while she was under anesthesia here recently. And so she stumbles a lot in her back legs when we go on longer walks. There's all this weird stuff. Dog stuff. God, you love them, but... Oh, Alexa just got all lit up and I thought, oh no, we're gonna have her talking now. What's she gonna say? So we have little Chip. And then can you see Rusty? He's somewhere over here. He's brown. And then Sadie's in the big chair. But yeah, I have the curtains drawn and stuff because of the light. What do you think of my forehead? My eyebrows are pretty much back to normal. Here, let's see. I'm relaxing my forehead. But it did get pulled up, so it kind of looks like I'm tensing. I think some of these bumps are still the underlying suture line, because there were 2 suture lines, the exterior one and the underlying one. I'm starting to think I'm going to need bangs. But it's not bad. In a few months, it'll probably settle down a lot. I don't like the bumpiness of it. I guess I wasn't quite prepared for that. I don't know why. I have plenty of other scars, like crazy scars. Life has just been overwhelming, and someday maybe I'll share the whole backstory. We'll see. But I do want to throw in plenty of knitting stuff. You may have noticed that I'm sitting on a different color couch. See this? See this? This is a Serta love seat that I got on Amazon. It was $330. It came in a single box. If I still have the picture, I'll put it at the end of the video. And in the single box was 2 pieces. And I was like, whoa. Pull those out. You unzip one section, and then all of a sudden you pull out the back section. And then you have to open up the back section, and you have to pull out the like air squished cushions and folded up cushion covers. but it actually is quite nice. It went together very nicely. I love it. I hated that old big black brown thing. This stands out more to me when I set my tools on the armrest. I can see them better. I can have an end table by this because it's a little bit smaller. What else? Let's see, does this blare me out again? I don't know that I care. Here, should I swap the hair? Does that help? Flip sides. I do speak awfully quietly at times. I'm trying not to. I need to have my phone plugged in right now, so I can't have the earbuds in. But I appreciate all the support technically for that. So here's the deal. I'm making these slipper socks. You know, slipper socks, the easy ones where you do the garter stitch section, then you start to work it in the round, and then I actually took it down like you would in a normal pair of socks. And I find that this is not weird, that it's fine. And I'm actually using worsted weight, rustic yarn from Maritime Family Fibers. And it is Tuffy sock, so there is a nylon content. And I'm using a 2.75 needle. I mean, this is dense, people. It's dense. Because that was one of the reasons I got into knitting, is I wanted to knit socks. My feet are stinky and I live in Arizona. So wool socks will be self-wicking and self-cleaning, and it really does help. So here we are here. I love them. I've caked up a few other colors. I'll tell you this stupid thing I did. So I already did this toe once today. Except when you're doing it in the round, and your split is this way. And I did my toe this way. Does that make sense? So then I had to rip it all back out and start again. And I had to shift my needles. So I'm doing my toe flat because this is where your foot goes in. Does that make sense? And I was looking up all this stuff about mattress stitch. And the problem is that I'm not actually mattress stitching garter, which I did learn an easier way to do it. So that's in one of my playlists. I keep playlists on my channel for knitting tips and stuff. But I'm actually sewing together the cast on edge. And I'm not overly in love with how it turned out on this one. It's definitely better on the backside than the inside. Because it just doesn't feel right to go through two loops. So I'm kind of going through one loop. So this seam is a little bit actually flatter than the garter. But I think it's going to be fine. And I will have enough leftover yarn that if I need to reinforce it along the way, I can do that. And I will do that. And I am getting a darning tool that is a weaving darning tool that I'm so excited, but it's still not here. Darn it. Makes me wish I would have just bought the not quite as expensive antique one. But I bought one that's actually brand new, made in Russia, and it's 21 like stitches wide. So you can do bigger darning. Because when I have a blowout, I tend to have a big blowout in my socks. And also for larger darning of like elbows and stuff, I think that sounds wonderful. You can also use it to darn on like jeans and things, but you will see it. It'll be that, visual fix-it business. It has a name. I don't remember the name. Look it up. You guys know how to use the computer. See, there's just a couple little... What else? Amy Beth had another pre-order for her new big crazy bag, the big bad bag. And I bought another one. Also got one for my mom. Yes, she paid for it. I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. It's a bummer. I also got my 84-year-old dad. He'd had a grand pad, okay? He loved his grand pad. The grand pad is a very easily accessible for older people tablet. It has generationally targeted games and apps, and their customer service is fabulous because it's a Minnesota company. I'm from Minnesota. And I mean, they're fabulous. The problem was my dad couldn't get Zoom set up on it, and he decided he was ready to embark on Zoom doctor appointments. So I ended up getting him an iPhone, and just so he didn't get taken, I put him on my plan and all of that. And my stepdad has had an iPhone, so they're buddies. My stepdad drives my real dad because he doesn't drive anymore, and my stepdad is like 12 years younger than my real dad. So he drives my dad to a lot of things, and he can drive him to the Verizon store and help him get service on the phone and explain things. So I was able to give my dad a good explanation, and I'm a diagonal one. I don't do that follow the stitch. I'm a diagonal seam and weaver. He's doing really good on it, and he really loves it. So I'm glad we did endeavor to do this. He did actually call the doctor's office and get them to test it out. They did one just fine, and then the next one they ended up having to use FaceTime. But they did, so he didn't care. And I have become a person who likes to weave in as I go. One reason I'm weaving in as I go is to figure out. I know I didn't quite do the rows quite perfectly because I get interrupted so often. And I hate it when one of them is longer than the other one. I do hate it, and yet most of my two things, like if it's two gloves or two fingerless gloves or mittens or socks or leggings, they're never exactly the same. My sleeves are hardly ever exactly the same on a sweater, which is why I often opt for shorter ones. I think it's easier to kind of fudge it. But he's loving that, and that makes me pretty happy. What else? If you haven't tried Maritime Family Fibers, you should. I want to try Beaver Slide dry goods, but I just need to knit up a few more things before I can order more yarn. Beaver Slide dry goods is also a more reasonable yarn, family operated kind of thing, but a lot of their stuff has mohair in it. I don't really know how I feel about that. I've never been a big fan. I don't like working with it, but if it's in the yarn itself, okay. But Maritime Family Fibers, they now have a line of softer yarns that honestly they are softer and they're beautiful, and I've shown you a couple. But they're so reasonable. I mean, so reasonable. So, and I have found, so you start knitting and you think something. So I start knitting. I thought I would never do circular needles. I found straight needles to be really hard on my wrists. Once I finally worked with some of the circular needles, I found that I really, really like them. I will tell you what I don't like. I don't like the interchangeable sets because it seems like I'm always tightening, that I'm always untwisting it. So I don't like that, but I hate having like an overabundance of stuff. I have pulled out a bunch of things into a big box for my daughter later in life when and if she wants to learn how to knit. And I have donated a bunch of things that I just do not use because I am trying to simplify our closets and our storage spaces because my eyesight's not getting any better. And I just want to be able to function as best I can for my kids. I really wish I could embrace this whole uniform wardrobe. I just don't know that I can. I mean, I really just don't know that I can. Yeah, I just feel like they're the same size and I just have to stop now. Number one, it's the guilt over getting rid of things that wouldn't fit into the uniform, but that I still like wearing. So I figure, things do wear out. Like I put this on today and I was like, oh, it's a little bit too tight. But it didn't overly bother me today. And I can see where there might be events where I'd want something a little bit more tailored or fitted. Someday I'll get to go back to church in reality. And I'm from the old school where you dressed up to go to church. All right, everybody does this different. I'll talk you through it. I'm Kitchening the toe. Okay. I go through, so my yarn is always coming from the back needle. I go through the first stitch as if to purl. Okay. And then I go through the back stitch as if to knit. Then I knit off the front needle and I go through the second stitch as if to purl. Then I purl off the back needle and go through the next stitch as if to knit. The way I remember this is I've now knitted through the back stitch, so I'm going to knit off the front needle. So I knit off the front needle. Then I have to purl through the next stitch on the front to purl off the one in the back. And I'm always knitting off the front and purling off the back. And I do tend to try to tighten them up as I go. So that's how I do it. And there are many ways to do it, and it's not a big deal how you do it. It's just whatever way works for you and gives you the end result that you like. But I ended up loving circular needles over the straight needles because of my wrists, and I didn't think I would love the scratchy yarns. I love knitting with the scratchy yarns, the slightly more rustic yarns. Now wearing the stuff, no. So I like wearing these like over a handmade pair of socks because then usually my feet are definitely warm enough. I don't blow out the socks as quickly because these are denser. I will definitely wear an abundance of things next winter here because it does actually get cold where we live. I still just don't get enough time in the day to do some of the quick machine knit projects I'd like. I did find a woman on Etsy who will do a sock tube for you, but she'll also do a cuff on it or a heel on it for about the same price, which I think is huge. A lefty knitter, something like that. I'll tell you if I order from her when I get the stuff. So I finished the fingerless gloves. I'm now finishing this pair of slipper socks. I feel like I finished something else recently also. Maybe it's just because there's 2 in each one of those. See, and I already messed up something because I've got an extra stitch. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. Oh no, that makes sense. I'm good. Wow, I am actually good. Can't freak out till the very end there. All right, and yes, mine are very squared off. And normally I don't go quite so small in the toe, but I needed the length. And, you know, I will wash and dry these at some point and see what happens. And if they end up felted and small enough for my daughter, oh well. And I do try to cool wash my hand knits and air dry them, followed by lay flat to dry because I live in Arizona, so things dry out very quickly if you lay them outside. Am trying. I felt very good this week because I do feel like I've accomplished some stuff in the last couple of weeks. It's sad when I don't really have anything to show for it, but I did end up attempting to double stitch some stitches along the sleeve on one of my, I guess I call it like the yoga cardigan. It's a lightweight wool cotton blend. And so I have worn that a bit because it is chilly in the houses here. And I'm just trying to be really kind to myself, not kicking myself for, you know, for whatever. And look, I'm wearing these, my 2 different heeled socks, my shorties. One of them is the strong sock heel, and one of them is the faux gusset. I believe that first one was the strong. Yep, this is the faux gusset. And I do have those as free downloads on Patreon. If you go to the Yarn Closet over on Patreon, you can help support the podcast, which is greatly appreciated, and will get me better upgrades to cameras and sound, possibly even lighting someday. If I can just clear out those closets a little bit more. But yeah, 2.75 millimeter, and I have a dense pair of slipper socks. If you want to know the specifics, it's a worsted weight with nylon, wool nylon blend. 2.75. I cast on 50 stitches. I did about 21 blips. This being a blip, so you've got the up and the down. So you'll have 21 of those before you start going in the round. And in my first row in the round, I take out 4 stitches, just like you do on a toe. So I take a stitch out here, I take a stitch out here, here, and here. And then I worked down about, I wear a size, like a size 8, 7.5, 8 shoe. And so I worked 3 inches before I started to decrease for my toe, which is about 1 3/4 inches. So all told, they're about 9 inches long. That works very well for me. If you want some specifics to try to recreate it on your end, oh my gosh! So I just don't know how much knitting I'm going to get done this summer. I just don't know. I'm trying to figure out and prioritize. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting. So, all right, I'll take you on a walk with me. I know, if you get nauseous, close your nose. Sorry, my nose itches. Close your eyes, not your nose. Close your eyes. Okay, I just have to put my needles over here. Okay, because these are my other 3 colors. This is a navy. This is a green. Maritime Family Fiber, Tuffy. And here is a pink, 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 pink. One skein gave me my pair with a good chunk left over. Good chunk. Okay, so see, there's the couch. I was able to move my desk out a little bit more. I was able to recover this footstool. So Chip has a nice place he can lay if Rusty's sitting by me. Because, you know, he still doesn't really adore Rusty. And then, remember my 70s? And this is plastic cabinets. So the upper is in an off-white. And the bottom is in a sage green. And then I finally did this side all up here. And so I will eventually do this in the white also. And no, these 2 greens are not the same, but get over it, people. I have this green fake stick-on tile over here, which has both tones in it. Both tones. But yeah, I mean, it definitely brightens it up. You can see things that I couldn't see before. Like the dip here is quite a bit more noticeable. Didn't realize how bowed this door was. So, you know, that's also when you change stuff. But yeah, eventually, I'm thinking eventually I'll want to paint, but maybe not till the kids are older and things won't be quite as messy. I do have, I guess I'd rather get my floors done because the floor in the kitchen and dining room is stick-on tile and that never stays. So I guess I'd rather do that before I got into that big project. I love it. Amy Beth's new bag. It is this lovely, there's 4 or 5 little pockets in here. Magnets here, magnets there. You can totally feel secure that it's closed. So, I have to put a couple of my little notions back in my notions pouch. Am I using this as a notions pouch? Or am I using this as no, I'm using this as like a mom pouch. That's not right. Now I need a mom pouch and a notions pouch. Oh, good gravy. I did get this, and honestly, the little plastic finger cover silicone ones, not good. Go for it, Chip. Go for it. Go for it, Chip. Go for it. Come on, Chip. Come on. You can do it, Chip. You can do it. Yes. Yeah, the silicone ones weren't worth it. The needle just stuck right through them. This is actually a little bit more cumbersome than that other one that I was wearing. Like maybe not if I cut this extra tab of leather off, then it might not be, because that's kind of where it's problematic. But that was the downsize to using the 2.75 is that every once in a while it would kind of ding. I have, you know, knitting finger. Knitting finger, is it focusing? This was Eco Wool. I may also do a crochet version. I may just do a crochet version with the Maritime Family Fiber. And you're like, well, how do you do a crochet version? Well, it's pretty simple. The crochet version is almost identical. So I would use, instead of a 2.75, I'd probably use a 3.5 millimeter and do, again, the 50 stitches. And I would either just single crochet back and forth, or if I wanted the ridged look, single crochet in the back loop. But then would I have to alternate back loop and front loop? I keep forgetting. So I'd probably just single crochet for the same width and then attach it and crochet in the round single crochet all the way to here, and then start to decrease and do the same kind of deal. I think it would be much, much faster. Now, this is not bothersome at all on my foot. Now, I don't know that I'm going to feel the same way about crochet, because, you know, crochet is a bit bumpier. It's a bit knottier. It's more of a knot. So I might as well try it and see what happens. Would you be interested in me trying it? Would you like to know? Because I think that would be the next nice deal. I did make these. So these I just did a gathered end instead of doing a fully decreased end. Or wait, I decreased on this one. No, I decreased on both of them. I just decreased much less. I think I only did like 3 decreases. Yep, that's right. Okay, I did the decreases. You can also do a few extra rows and then do a gathered end. But like this one, this was done on like a 5 millimeter, and it was much shorter. And it fits fine. It's thinning, like it's thinning out, flattening out, I think much more quickly than this is going to. And like on this one, I did a little extra ribbing around here, and that definitely made a difference. I just think it's a great, easy, all-around pattern. See, and once again, because I use such a bigger gauge, and as this is stretching out a bit, it's getting holier. Well, here, I have some yarn ends. I might as well just throw some of this on there. I've come to the realization also in my knitting that I don't think I'm going to buy patterns anymore. I might buy some magazines and look at pictures, but you can do that online for free. And I never actually follow The patterns. I always veer off from the pattern significantly. Like significantly. So I think it's kind of pointless. I'm getting much better at my sweater math and my trust of knitting math in general. And I think because I came from crochet, I'm much more willing to wing it. Because in crochet, when you realize you've got a mistake, I think it is a little bit easier to just wing it and make it work without it being overly noticeable. So here's the thing. If you do end up cutting a really long tail and you're like, oh my gosh, what a waste. You know what? It's never a waste to sew down and back. It really does help to reinforce the seam. And if I could give a new knitter or crocheter any advice, it would be don't be afraid of learning how to weave in your ends and sew pieces together, because it will give you so many more options in what you work on. And honestly, I think the finishing of projects can often make or break it. And maybe I'm too critical about that. Maybe it's because I've come from crochet and we're often get a bad rap as, like, you know, the redheaded stepchild of the bunch. God, they used to say that to me in school all the time. So that's it. I can't believe I've nattered on here for 42 minutes, and realistically, okay, I gave you some pointers. I gave you some tips. I will keep it under an hour, but I will throw in some pictures at the end in that cute little video of Chip playing. Chip plays now. Magnus would destroy Chip's toys, so they were never just out all the time. And Chip loves the stuffed animals, loves them. He loves to take the cat toys from the cats. And the cats now have free roam of the house because Magnus was the only one that we were concerned about. The rest of the dogs have always had access to the cats and are fine with them. Sadie barks at him sometimes, I think because she's not real sure every once in a while. Oh, what was that kind of thing? It's a blind thing. I get it. And Rusty will sometimes chase them, but only if they just start running out of the blue. And he's like, oh, are we playing a game? So I'm so excited. I love having things I'm actually going to use. Okay, here's another thing. Look into your local school district. Find out if your school nurse is keeping a clothing or a shoe, sock, underwear stockpile. Ours keeps a stockpile of a variety of sizes for when there are those weird things that happen at school and she needs to send somebody home with, like, clean clothes, or give them new clothes so they can make it through the day. And also, one of the things that they said to me is a lot of the younger kids, they're just having to wear their shoes a lot longer. You know, finances for people right now kind of suck, even with every bit of help we're getting. And so I've been able to donate a lot of their out of size things. And I think that's an easy way to just help out the next guy. Look with your heart first. you did.
Over half of it in one day.
Yes, you did. Get it. Chip is playing with his stuffed animals. He has a stolen cat toy. He has a Big Buddy stuffed animal. And he has a little tiny, there it is, the little tiny black guy. I don't know that Prue will be really happy about that, but that's what Chip likes to do. He likes to play with stuffed animals. Did you just bring it over to me? Why did you bring it over to me? Why did you bring it over to me? Hey, why'd you bring it over? Hey. Do you want me to throw it? Do you want me to throw it? Do you want me to throw it? Oops. Bad throw. Blind mommy.
Hey, Mom.
Hey.
Were you videoing Chip for a yarn closet?
Yep. Hi, Reggie.
Hey, Dad. I have a hug.
Hey, baby.